Hello and thank you for joining us today at Distracted by Life. Our podcast is all about making change within yourself and your relationships. We share conversations, stories, and explore ideas coming from our lifelong journey of the high points and especially the low points where we learn to face our fears or cope with pain, loss, and failure. We do this in a discovery quest to establish patterns around our past and understanding whether we are tripping up from our past or being held hostage by it. We work on identifying ways to move forward, aligning our core values, and unlocking the keys to self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-compassion, and letting go of what is not serving you positively in life. A better you is always there, ready to explore in a new world. So let's begin. Hello and welcome to Distracted by Life. My name is Dan and today's topic is titled Irritation or Opportunity. When we get distracted by life's events, daily, whether positive or negative, do we see and set our sights on these daily events as irritation? Or do we consider them an opportunity to right a wrong, maybe create a healthy habit? Here with us again is Amal to discuss and share her own perspective on the topic. Welcome, Amal. Hi.
Hi, Dan. Glad to be here. I love this topic, actually, irritation or opportunity, because in the past, I used to be one of those individuals that was so focused on my to-do list and what needs to get done that I'm always in a mission. It felt that I'm always in a mission anyway, and I would never allow anything to distract me or stop me from what I need to get through to try to get things done. However, it does not always work that way, that everything we plan, at least everything I plan, I will get done and it'll be taken care of. So I used to get really anxious, and when things left undone or not completed, I felt like the day is not productive enough. It was just kind of awful. When I thought this way, I would not see the amount of things that I already did, but I would only focus on the things that, oh my God, in my mind, I haven't got through to those item 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so then I realized I gave way too much attention to the work front and then the personal front. The reality is one of those areas will always suffer if we don't carefully take a closer look and draw the lines between professional and personal front. I have a couple of examples that I can share. So one example here, I noticed that I have gotten so good at tuning out that I spend most of my time doing it unconsciously. And I don't pay attention when it's happening at home, actually. My husband and my son have mentioned a few times to me that I don't pay attention. Like they will be talking and I would just nod and, glance, and I say, no, I'm paying attention. But then they ask me something or I ask the same question later on about the same topic that we were discussing. And to be honest, I can't believe I was doing it because the last thing ever that I thought I would do is tune out my husband and my son when they are talking to me. So in this situation, I should have viewed it as an opportunity for connection with my son or my husband rather than just, tune them out. And then at this point, this was a missed opportunity that I was so focused on my mission, which is focused mind getting through all what I needed done, that I actually missed out connecting in this moment when my husband or my son talking to me.
Can I just say one thing? Rumor has it though that your husband and your son are very patient people. That's just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah,
that's all.
They are, and I am acknowledging, and I am aware of the tuning out, and I really do. Exactly what I said is I got so good at it that I tune out unconsciously, and so now I am working on it to try to
I'm sorry, what were you talking about?
Anyway, okay. I'm gonna share another example. In the past, I consider my husband workaholic. He barely had any time for us, and most often than not, because he worked longer hours and felt sleep deprived, when the weekend comes around, all he wanted to do is rest and catch up on sleep. While for us, we were ready to burst in energy at all the fun things we wanted to do and we planned to explore. So in this situation, it was an irritation for my husband, who was extremely tired and all he wanted to do just rest, right? And in this case, the missed opportunity was connecting deeper with your family, who have missed you and missed your present, and they have been waiting all week long to be over so they can have you all to themselves. And so it was that, really. Like, how many times, Dan, let me ask you this. How many times does this happen to us, whether in scenarios like the one I shared or other ones? How many times we take things for granted? How many times we choose to work over family, work over friends, work over rest when we know we need it the most? What are your thoughts? Can you share with us how many times you felt torn between your work and personal obligation or spending quality time with your family?
Well, okay. Thanks for the surprise question. Yeah, I guess I'm now part of your podcast quite often. Personally, when I lived that life, there was too many hours of work, not enough of quality time. So, and to be quite honest, living a world of regret on that one, which is still not a good thing, but I'm trying to live in the present now, which means making the time for quality. Currently, under a global pandemic, lots of opportunity for quality, and probably the best year, sadly, in the worst of time.
So it didn't lead you to a divorce.
Sadly, in the fact that it's a pandemic that's going on, that is pretty much the reason why we all ended up getting as close as possible. Probably the closest we've ever been as a family. But going back to the earlier life, way a few years ago, working 42 days in a row, 43 days in a row, collapsing at work just from working so much. Never want to see that again. Never even want to come close to that again. So you collapsed from burnout. I lost time with my family, lost time with I'm sorry?
You collapsed from burnout.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, complete. And then those weekends, I know you talked about those weekends. You're right. I worked all week long like crazy. Knew that I would still have to put in time secretly on the weekends, here and there. And I knew, and it hurt like heck to see, you and Nicholas, a little bit irritated yourselves because I didn't have time. Not only didn't have time, but even when I was there, I didn't have the energy to be as, jacked up and everything else.
And present with your family.
Yeah.
And you felt torn.
Completely torn.
How did you...
I hated it.
Tell me your feelings, really, about how you felt towards your son and your wife.
Well, my son never changed. It was always the same. You, on the other hand, I was resentful. But then again, I was resentful at work, too. I just didn't like work. It's not that I didn't like you. I was resented the fact that
I wanted more from you, right?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. It's tough. It's a tough spot. I hated it. Absolutely hated it.
I have to
now, at this point in my life, never want to see that again. I do not want to lose that time.
I think the feeling was mutual because I resented you too for not giving us time. I couldn't understand why. I mean, I knew you were worked to death, to be honest, and I could see the exhaustion in your face. But at the same time, selfishly, as a wife and a mom, we wanted you with us on the weekend. We literally used to wait for the weekend to come around because we're going to be out of the house. We're going to be doing stuff together, maybe go out for dinner, maybe a movie, or just hang, picnic, all sorts of things that I had planned for us as a family. But here's the thing. It's not that we didn't do stuff on the weekends.
It's that I wasn't there. I mean, I wasn't there 100%. We did go to picnics. We did go to
not a lot
places.
They also you gotta admit, you said back then it was a foggy time for you. Like there is some stuff that you don't remember. Why is that?
Cortisol, and completely doctor endorsed on this little analysis. Cortisol. Too many years of cortisol in the system. High stress. Workaholic. Always got yourself at the top. You end up with a little bit of Swiss cheese. You remember things, but not 100% that you probably should have.
This is very good. I want to highlight this part for people out there who give so much of their time to work because they're trying to climb the ladder of success. They want to be something.
There's nothing wrong with climbing the ladder. Did it myself. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But not at such a sacrifice to the point where your hormones are actually all out of whack.
I would say the ladder of success is great if you're able to balance both fronts. But if you're going to sacrifice your health, burnout, and your family, that comes at a very high cost. Because in the end, what did the ladder of success give you? When pandemic happened, when recession happened, what did it really give you?
Well, the industry I was in was not the best. So it led to, but it did. There was opportunity, appropriately enough, in this podcast, changing careers completely, shifting on a dime. That helped. But at the same time, the career, and now affords me I don't even want to say luxury of spending time with my family, because I don't see it as a luxury. It's a necessity. I don't want to ever in 5 years look back and go, damn, I missed out on that, or I missed out on this event or that event, or just spending time.
All right.
Does that help? Does that answer?
No, that's great, because you're helping people out there.
You sucked me into the podcast.
Well, the whole idea of this episode is helping the young professionals and anyone out there who are we're in a pandemic state right now, and a lot of people working from home. But you realize with working from home, people are feeling at unease because they're trying to get promoted, and they're trying to show that, I'm here, see me, I'm great, look what I'm doing. There is a lot of competition and a lot of people trying to rise, right?
That's a whole different podcast.
And then
work from home
and
versus
so
office.
The lines between home and work has been blurred for a lot of people.
I think a lot of people are shaken up in the fact that people work more from home than they do at the office.
At the office, because you take away commute, and guess what? They're also more productive because you take away the distraction of people dropping by your desk or calling you because they know that you're down the hallway, or all the distraction and the impromptu quick meetings when they shouldn't be taken.
That is a whole different podcast that I would like to actually. That one I don't mind doing. Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, anyway, so we're gonna stick to our program here. So I'm glad you mentioned this. So I'm glad you mentioned it. It's a good point.
Okay, so I mentioned that to you. What about figuring out the balance on like, how do we figure out the balance? And anyways, if you did, what about you? What about your perspective and your thoughts?
Well, I don't have a magic formula here to share, but I could tell you this. For me, I realized that a combination of time management, setting boundaries. In this case, when I say setting boundaries, work and relationship boundaries. And what I mean by the relationship boundaries with family members and friends who have no boundaries. They call at any point in time. They show up at your doorsteps whenever they please. They ask favors all the time. They don't like to hear the no, making time for self-care, allowing others to take time for their own self-care, and holding space for the people you cherish and love the most in your life. If that means you are training family, friends, or coworkers to be givers, not just takers, then so be it. And lastly, which is most important, I think, is to create a good habit in your life to help you balance and nurture all these aspects of your life. Can't find balance in your daily life without creating a habit that help and support the practice of balancing.
Okay. Well, what about any advice then for the people who are distracted by life daily?
Well, if anything, COVID taught us that life is fleeting, and we should learn to live mindfully in the moment, showing up daily with the people we love and we care about deeply, holding space for loved ones, slowing down, taking care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul. We can't forget that. We can't recharge or re-energize if we are constantly in the rat race or running ragged. We will actually experience burnout. One or two aspects of our life will suffer if you don't pay attention. And burnout is real. I've seen it happen to you, and it was scary. We need to also understand if we let ourselves go and burn out at both ends, we lose the ability to make clear decisions, and our mental ability is overtaken by exhaustion. We will stop on our track completely. The only way out is lots of rest, stillness, meditation, rejuvenating energy, putting fuel back into our bodies to gain back our strength after the body went into shock from the burnout. In your case, I've seen. I can't stress enough. Sometimes what we think is an irritation turns out to be a sign or a flag for us to slow down. So pay close attention. The universe is always talking to you, telling you something. Until next time, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. And thank you for joining us on this podcast today. And back to you, Dan.
Well, thanks, Amal. And thank you out there for joining us today in Distracted by Life. As Amal pointed out, you can't find balance in your daily life without creating good habits that help support the practice of sustaining a great life balance. With that said, stay tuned for our next episode from Amal and myself. 17 years and I screw up our names right now. Okay, so stay tuned for our next episode from Amal and myself. Thanks again and talk to you soon.